This is a sponsorship you need right
Yeah, who was
here. Fucking Zen.
Dude, did you see that one with Theo Vaughn and Tucker Carlson? There's that. I'm gonna send you the link for it, but dude, I've never seen Tucker Carlson like that. That was cool to see him in like a more of himself.
Being relaxed and shit.
Dude, it was
He's
crazy.
been doing that on podcasts, man.
He's like it's totally different. Tucker Carlson.
He must be making stupid money.
Well, that kind of fucking.
He's got fuck you money now. He doesn't care.
So, yeah, the first thing I wanted to talk about was like the mental health aspect of things, and especially because I think you and I have pretty damn good in-depth conversations about that. And since like, I think because we've also shared a lot of shit with each other where we're like, oh, okay, damn, we have actually a lot in common.
Sure.
And I would say right now I'm going through, I'm still kind of self-sabotaging myself with that, with, you know, I guess vices, probably drinking too much, self-sabotaging myself up here.
Okay.
And just not really honing in, I guess, on the disciplines of the shit that I know I should be doing, but I'm not.
It's interesting how that works, right? Like, you get to a point in adulthood, I think, what's right and what's wrong are fairly clearly defined as far as like your responsibilities. And for some reason, man, I don't know if it's just the war fighter. I mean, I talk to a lot of war fighters, but I don't think it is. I don't think it is. It may just be more prevalent with them, but they reject everything that they know to be a necessity, right? It's funny, you see guys and they'll be like, because granted, you got to remember in boot camp, right? They teach us how to do everything from like folding your underwear to shaving your face to brushing your teeth, like personal hygiene, all this shit. This is it's all standard operating procedures, up to and including like PT, right? I mean, physical health and wellness. And guys get out of the service, man, and they throw it all to the wayside. They stop brushing their teeth. They stop making their bed. They stop putting their clothes away.
That's not what I'm doing.
I'm not saying that, but it's not just you. My point is.
I didn't fuck. All right, go.
My point is, it's really the basis of your mental health. I think starts with, and Jocko talks about it all the time, personal responsibility, right?
Yeah.
And so if you neglect to be responsible, you call it self-sabotage. Really, it's more like self-betrayal. And that self-betrayal is what leads to the sabotaging behaviors. So it's like, and I'm about to talk to a sales team about this in a couple weeks.
You should actually see if I can just come in with you guys.
On the sales call? I'm sure.
Oh, is it virtual?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind.
But so it starts with self-betrayal, right? Like if I always find that I'm in my most depressed state if like there's dishes in the sink that need to be cleaned and I haven't swept the floors and my bed's a fucking mess and I got all these little things that I know would kind of clear some of the cobwebs out of my brain, but I refuse to do them. And so once I get that done, I tidy up my space, I do some of the little responsibilities. It's like a light bulb kind of goes off. And then I'm like, well, I'm hungry for more of that positive feedback, you know, whether it be chemically or just emotionally. I want more of that. So what's the next thing I can do? Well, I got a little time. Maybe I'll go for a walk or I'll knock out 40 push-ups. And it's like, well, shit, that felt good. You know, what else can I? And it's like this snowball effect in the positive. But as long as you neglect the basic foundation, which is, you know, the little things, you're never going to be able to reach like these high-arching goals, man. And you're going to be sitting in misery for far too long. Now, there's another caveat to mental health where I think there are really deep thinkers in the world that are just constantly suffering because they're asking big questions consistently. Questions that we don't even really have answers to, like what's the purpose of my life? And how can I be the best version of myself? And things that are like clear, you can't truly define what success looks like in the long run. And we just sit around and kind of mull over those and contemplate those, and you're sitting in misery in that regard as well. But even then, man, I really think coming back to like doing the little things and setting up small goals for yourself.
So that's what I do, especially like when shit's not right, I'm not right up here, or I've just been in like a funk or something like that. That's what I do. I will clean the shit out of this apartment.
Yep.
I will clean my storage space. I will, you know what I mean? Like I'll do stuff like that because that's what I do to, feel good afterwards and to kind of get that, what you said, a snowball effect feeling to, accomplishments. Clearing out the cobwebs, like clearing out the clutter that's the small shit. So, but I think Jocko even mentioned something like that where like it's the small things that have the biggest impact in our everyday disciplines, right? It's like the whole accomplishment thing. Small accomplishments, but if you do that at the head of your day, that sets the day up for success.
For sure.
So my thing though, is I tend to do it late at night, like when I'm just not fucking driving right. I'm not like I'm just all over the place, or I'm confused. I'm like overly, I wouldn't say stimulated. Well, yeah, overly kind of just all this shit imploding, it feels like. And then it's like, okay, pause. Take the time because there's little chaoses here and there. So I'm like, okay, let's square away that. Clear my mind, like just boom. And the other thing too is you said the self-betrayal thing, right? And what that really stuck to me is because like once I started doing like the little things, little accomplishments here and there, start getting shit done, like admin wise, stuff like that, I self-betray myself when I'm feeling good, I'm feeling on the up. And I'm pretty sure you've noticed that, like when things are going really fucking good and I feel good, and then I start doing dumb shit.
Well, in both regards here, you've talked about, and this is pretty important, like for people to understand. There's a difference between being reactive and being proactive. And so in everything that you're describing here, man, you're still being reactive to your emotions, reactive to your kind of the situation you find yourself in. What I'm talking about is being proactive. So.
But I think that kind of goes back to what you were saying, like guys coming out of the service. I think it's that because you've been there, you lived it mentality. Like you're like, fuck, I don't want.
Right. I mean, it's a pain in the ass, but I mean, so is being depressed. You know what I mean? So is having a living quarters that you would be ashamed to invite somebody over to come hang out. So is, having a pile of fucking laundry on the floor for a month, and now your clothes stink. You know what I mean? Like all these things, they trigger negative emotions, man. It really is like the whole process requires a lot of time. Okay, because it takes 21 days to develop a habit. It only takes 3 days to break a habit, right? So we are hardwired to take the path of least resistance. And this is a big lesson I'm teaching our 10-year-old now, is that the hard way is usually the right way.
So I agree with that.
Well, so it takes like, you have done enough work that you realize that, okay, X, Y, and Z are good for my mental health. The next step is to say, I'm being reactive, right, when I decide to engage in X, Y, and Z. So I need to move it to the forefront of my day. I need to start my day with X, Y, and Z. And you already know that's the answer. It's just a matter of getting up and doing it. And so, yeah, the first 3 weeks are going to be a pain in the ass. You don't want to get up. You don't have certain responsibilities, so on and so forth. You can take the lazy avenue, but you gotta hardwire your brain to start with those little responsibilities at the beginning of the day, and then you won't have to be reactive. And I would venture to say that you would have less emotional moments, you know, at the end of the day, when the world is settling down and you're in your own head. You're going to feel accomplished instead of feeling wound up and anxious because you have all these things that should have been done 15 hours ago.
Yeah. What's, because we've known each other for now damn near
2 years?
2 years.
Something like that, yeah.
So, and we've been in the thick of shit, but what are some things that you can share that you've been doing that's negatively impacting you, and what have you done, or what have you continued to do to, you know, overcome it?
Oh boy, me personally?
Just like let's talk about recently, because you're kind of going through, and I told, you know, whoever views the other videos and shit, I kind of mentioned it a little bit of the shitstorm that I'm in right now, and you're kind of part of that. So in a sense, we're kind of going through it. We're going through it together. Like, so it's.
Yeah, we had the balls to step in the arena, right?
Well, that's the, you know, and I keep fucking telling people shit. Like, I'm like, look, because you're not gonna know unless you take the risk, right? But it's like. Yeah. That risk can be, it could fuck your whole world up.
Well, every warrior has battle scars.
But
man.
that's what I'm saying. Like
you wear them with pride. So let's go back to the question at hand.
Okay,
So I'd say for me, right, keep in mind, I've had quite a bit of success in my life. I've also screwed up a lot. Yeah. I mean, huge ups and downs. So I think I have this inclination to seclude myself whenever things are going downhill. And I know that's not the right avenue. Like, if I want to find other opportunities, if I want to continue to be creative, if I want to feel at peace with myself, I'm a communicator. I'm a people person. I'm gregarious. I've always been that way. And I tend to withdraw from the world around me, right? And so when I withdraw, I fill my own voice. I fill my head with a voice, a shameful voice, if you would. It's like,
like you're shaming yourself.
Yeah, like you weren't smart enough to see that this particular CEO was gonna steal all the money you raised, or, you know, you weren't. I don't know, you weren't courageous enough to go out and get the close on this six-figure contract, so you don't deserve to go out and give it another shot. And these are the type of things that kind of go in my head, and I start feeling like, man, you're kind of a worthless piece of shit, you know, like, look at you, you're a fucking failure. And if I'm a failure, what use is there for me to be out in the world basically spreading my failure germs on everybody else around me, right? And this is the narrative in my head. So I sit at home most of the day, and I'll just, instead of working towards something new and being creative, I'll get, like I said, shame is really, it's shame. And with shame comes guilt. And with guilt comes anger. And then I'm mad at myself. And then, so it's like, it's a downward spiral, man.
So I'm glad that you said all that shit, because I remember you kind of telling me about that a while back, and I think you know why I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I think you know why I have finally fucking launched this platform.
Yeah.
And because you talk about, why am I going to spread my negative self-talk or my negative shit that I got going on up here to across the world?
Yeah, no, I mean, masculine men are hardwired to create value in this world.
Correct.
And so when you don't feel like you can create any value, what do, man? You sit on your fucking couch and, like, let the world kind of go by. So,
But wouldn't it be fair to say, like, okay, it's also learning from the mistakes of others, or having the ability or the courage to, talk about the hardship. And it's not necessarily like spreading, like, I guess I don't view it as, well, not now. Now I'm like, I don't view it as I'm spreading negative shit. I want people to know the true sides of things, right? You got all these fucking gurus out there. You got all this shit and that's what gets you to buy their courses. That's what gets you to do this. That's what the influence of people that are uber successful, that are this and that, and I'm fucking Billy Badass or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But you don't really understand or know the struggles of what that life can create.
yeah, well, I mean, without a doubt, success is an illusion.
Right.
And the most successful people in the world will tell you, if they've earned their success,
Yeah, it's different. There's a difference.
yeah, that it comes with sacrifices, right? And so I think one thing that holds me together in the face of this particular turmoil that's going on is that this is an opportunity for me to take a step back and become well-rounded, right? Like, it's I want to be the best dad I can be. I want to be the best husband I can be. I want to be the best friend I can be. I want to be the best athlete I can be. I want to be the best business owner. I want to be the best coach. And so, okay, right now I can't step out back into the stadium in the business front because we have some things going on behind the scenes. So where can I step up elsewhere in life? Where can I focus myself? And so I really like Zig Ziglar talks about the spokes of life. And if one of your spokes are broken, the wheel is not going to continue to turn. And his spokes are something along the lines of like financial success, career success, social success, intellectual success, and spiritual success. And so it's like, if I'm focusing all on my career success, right, maybe I'm not giving myself an opportunity to tap into to my spirituality. Okay, so in the long run, eventually I'm going to get to the point where I'm going to rely on that spirituality, and it's not going to be developed. So I'm not going to be able to continue to move forward. So in the face of something like what we're facing now, man, that's all I'm doing is I'm trying to clear out these negative voices, which, if you really want to boil it down into like mental health and therapy, it comes from how I was raised.
I mean,
It's my old man's voice, and it's not even necessarily his voice. It's what I think he would say to me, right?
There's that self betrayal shit too, or self sabotaging.
Yeah, I mean, in an aspect, yeah. I mean, that's what fuels.
Because that's what you think. That's what
right.
You're.
Yeah, nobody else is telling me I'm
Correct.
a piece of shit. I'm the one saying it.
Right.
And that's why my book was A Fuck Up Writes a Book, because I grew up with that narrative in my head that I'm nothing more than a fuck up. And so it was crazy. Like I'd succeed in something and do something like on a grandiose scale, and then I would immediately go out and make like a Johnny Football type decision where I was just gonna go do something fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And that is I'd say it's more self-defeating than it is like self-betrayal in that essence. That's that self-defeating narrative that I think, unfortunately, man, a lot of men have to overcome that voice. That I'm not good enough and I haven't done enough, and the expectations for men today are ridiculous. I mean, listen, I'm 6'5", 250, a pretty good athlete. I've earned six figures in my life. I've done crazy things all over the world. I'm well-traveled, decorated veteran, business owner, 7 figures we grew that business to. So, and I look around in my network and I don't see what people expect to see at the top 1%. You see what I'm saying? Like, for some reason, we believe you're supposed to have six-pack abs with a 6-figure salary and you know you're supposed to be driving around in Bugattis and dressing in $30,000 suits and smoking $1,500 cigars. And at least for me, man, that's not success for me. I would venture to say that people in that lifestyle are missing big time as far as their relationships are concerned, right? Because there's a give and take, right? Socrates calls it the golden mean, and life will balance itself out. So I think a big shtick for men's mental health has to be this redefining of success from a destination to the idea that it's 1% better every day throughout the entirety of the journey.
Mm.
And my hope is that on my deathbed, I'm going to look around and see nothing but loved ones who were positively impacted. And if I can't leave you an inheritance, I'm going to leave you a legacy. And that legacy is going to be that you're going to believe in yourself, you're going to believe in your capabilities, you're going to believe in building into the community, you're going to believe in doing the best you can absolutely do and having fun while you're doing it. But I think a lot of the men's mental health comes from this what would you call it? Kind of irrational expectation. of what success-
Unrealistic.
Yeah.
To be, I mean, let's just be frank about it. It's really unrealistic. Okay. It's not unrealistic because you can get to a certain level what society or what most people think that success is. Obviously, people are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, that's unrealistic. Because I'm going to tell you something, man, because of what you just kind of said is, do you remember what? It was like a month ago where I was like, you know what? This shit that's going on right now, it actually forced me to take a step back, kind of dwell on my turmoil for a little bit, but also humbled me a bit. Humbled me.
Sure.
Because I was doing dumb shit. I was putting a lot of money back into the business. I was doing this. I was trying to make, things happen here and there, but I was also, doing dumb shit. I was, I would party every once in a while pretty hard, and then I'd be out of commission for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Or this and that. But it's forced me to take a step back and to really realize what matters the most to me in life. And that's my kids.
Yeah, I don't think if you really do some true introspection, you'll ever find that money takes priority, right? And I suppose if you're a listener and you think money takes priority over everything, then you need to give Jeff a call, and we need to have you on for an episode, because I'd love to have that conversation and hear you justify that.
Yeah, and it goes with saying too, like, and there's so much more into it than the saying of money isn't everything, and then saying, because I still believe that's also bullshit, because you can accomplish a lot of things with money. You can help a lot of people with money.
Mm-hmm.
You can do extraordinary things with the power of money,
Mm-hmm.
right? But at the same time, money it doesn't exist. Like, if you really think about it, it's like,
Well, what did you just say? It wasn't about the money.
right.
It was about the power that came with money. So power is the commodity, money
Correct.
is the means. But you can accumulate power in various different facets. Just like you can be a leader without a title, you can be a powerful and influential individual without money behind you.
Yeah.
It's kind of how nonprofits work, honestly, man. We do a lot of good in the nonprofit sector, and there's not a lot of money floating around. So,
Well, and it's the power of word. It's
You-
power of
yeah.
message, right? And this is also why we're doing this. But we have to be able to, I mean, you said it the other day, we got to be able to talk about the hard shit.
yeah, absolutely. I'd love to get to the point where we got some real subject matter experts on and we can debate, like, for instance, mental health, man. the entire clinical industry has it all wrong. You know what I mean? As far as, especially with like the VA and their mental health therapeutic approaches.
Oh yeah, dude.
Cognitive behavioral therapy has led to the suicide epidemic. And they do nothing as far as if you go out and you look for legitimate mental health support from medical practitioners, you're going to get put on medications. And it's funny, man, because most of these medications don't really do anything for you long term. And they'll tell you that flat out, like, oh, it's gonna take 3 or 4 months for you to feel some sort of effect, and then you just it's a self-reporting process. How do you feel? Do your emotions feel any different? But never do they take into account the circumstances around. You know what I mean? Like 3 months from now, my life could look completely different, and I could tell you I feel better about myself, and they're gonna say that's because of Lexapro or whatever fucking big dollar medication they're pushing. When in reality, it's because maybe I had finally found a job, or I had that difficult conversation with my spouse, or there are so many other aspects to mental health besides just making sure we can medicate. And then when you medicate, you take away this opportunity for neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
Right? You take away the opportunity for your brain to be able to develop new neural pathways to create different automatic responses. And unfortunately, the only way to create neuroplasticity is to stress what you currently believe to be true, right? And so,
I mean, I can name 2 times in the past 3 months, 2 incidences where I was about to cave. I was about to cave only 2 times. I mean, little incidences here and there, but 2 times I can count for the past 3 months where I am like full-blown panic attack mode.
mm-hmm.
Feels like I'm gonna have a fucking heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
I'm freaking out. I'm like, feel like I'm gonna pass out. Like all these, like I'm like, holy shit, I am having a fucking heart attack or something like that. Something's going on, and I almost caved to where I like go to the hospital because I need something. I need something just to fucking
Take the edge off.
I need help with that. And it's like, but I didn't do that. And I've been refusing to go to the VA because I know for a fact that they're just gonna fucking take this pill, take that pill, or let's put you on this. No, I don't. That's not the fucking answer.
Right.
That's not the answer. And me, when all that kind of subside, like when I was going through that moment, those moments of just pure fucking panic and fear.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I was scared as shit, dude. Like I even, and I'm horrible with this, but reaching out and getting more in touch with my spiritual side
mm-hmm.
and talking to the higher powers, you would be, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I did that. And do I think it helped? Yes. Because it was me taking or having the courage to challenge what was going on within me. It was taking the fear and the panic mode by the balls and saying, hey, motherfucker, no. Calm down.
Mm-hmm. Well, the easiest way to do that is to just remember to breathe.
Well,
You know,
right.
Step one.
Yeah, so one of the biggest things I did, and that's even hard too, like when you're in full-blown panic mode and panic attack, like the breathing exercises definitely helps, right? But it's not gonna work like instantaneously. I had to go like
Yeah, it's not a shot of morphine.
right.
You know?
It's like it was like over like an hour, 2, maybe 3 hours, where I was like, okay, sat down, did the breathing exercise, and then all of a sudden it just like starts ramping up again.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's crazy because like it does happen out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
But also having the mental fortitude to really challenge, I guess, yourself and your strengths, taking what I have learned in the past or what has helped in the past, of, okay, this is what's going on. Reevaluating what is causing this. Okay, and then I start thinking, I'm like, well, I caused that. Probably from not sleeping well. I mean, but sleep is difficult when you're just overloaded with stress and anxiety, all this bullshit. Like it's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
Drinking doesn't help.
Right.
I know that I was I was down trading myself off my med. I've been on meds for since 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So that I had to go back up on that just because I'm like, hey, I gotta fucking do what works for me, right? And then also what really has helped me was talking, not shutting the people that I know that truly care about me, not shutting them out. Because you mentioned it in the beginning of this, is that you isolate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a bad thing, because I did isolate myself quite a bit in the beginning, but also I didn't shove the people out that I know that I matter to them. They care about me. They truly do want the best for me. And actually just having a conversation and just actually talking about the hard shit, that has actually helped me.
Mm-hmm.
And actually having these types of conversations. And Jason says it best. Quit being a little bitch.
At the end of the day, right? That's the Marine in him.
And I was even talking to him the other day, because I was like laying on the floor. I was like, oh my God, like shit's fucked up and this and that. I'm freaking fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
And I called my other buddy because he started talking about it. We had the conversation not too long ago. It's on the channels as well, but we all have that one friend that you can count on to not get sympathy.
Yeah,
We all have that one.
Buck up.
Yeah, we all have that one friend, and I do have that one friend, and he wasn't in the military. He wasn't that, and I was telling Jay, I'm like, yeah, you're right. I have. So like, I started thinking about what I had as far as my life before with my marriage and this and that. I started feeling sorry for myself or some bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm like, I call him because I know he's gonna be like, quit being a little bitch.
And there's a point, you're right, where that's it, I think people who consistently talk about their problems aren't looking for solutions.
Right.
They're looking for attention.
Right.
So at some point in the process, yeah, you need that person to just say, listen, you've processed enough, time to take action. But that person has to be employed at the right time. Because if you don't take the time to process what's happening, you're going to go out and make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you need, and this is why it takes a tribe to do anything, man. You need to be able to have those people in your life that can just give you a hug when you need it. Because sometimes that's all it takes, right? You need those people in your life who are a little further on their healing journey and can talk you through the transition and ask thought-provoking questions and help guide you to your own answers. And then you need that person in your life that'll say, okay, you've extracted wisdom from this experience. Now it's time to make a choice to move forward.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you can't wrap that all up into one, then yeah, you need multiple friends,
And I just thought about this now, like, I think it's a powerful thing to be able to talk about the negative things. And let's just say, just speaking for myself individually, like, right? I find it more therapeutic to talk about the negative shit that I do, the negative shit that has happened in my life, when it's from a position of power. And what I mean by that is, it's not because let me take that back a little bit of what we talked about in the beginning of this is when spreading the negativity to the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's different if you're just being fucking negative and you're just talking about shit without even really analyzing what the hell's going on and just regurgitating at the mouth of just pure negativity and just putting yourself down. That's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, taking that step back, having the mental fortitude to tell yourself to quit being a little bitch, let's figure out what the hell's actually going on here, have the ability to stop yourself and to process things.
Yeah.
Then that's the position of power to be able to further talk about the situation at hand.
Right. Well, that's why I developed those 10 steps to potent masculinity, because I
remember that. Yeah.
I found in working with clients that they wanted a solutions-based approach, but as a coach, it's not your job to tell them what to do. Okay, that'd be more like a consultant. Okay, you don't hire a business coach to give you the game plan. You hire a business coach to help you develop your own game plan. You'd hire a business consultant to say, well, we've done steps X, Y, and Z. It's worked for 500 other companies. You do the same thing, it'll work for you. Two different things. I'm a coach, not a consultant, right? So I developed the 10 steps of potent masculinity to help people through that processing phase. And it was a little bit of cognitive behavioral therapy, a little bit of philosophy, a little bit of my own kind of intrinsic work. And eventually I developed this process, and it all starts, number one, and we can go through the list if you want to, I got them. But I think the priority is that you have to identify.
Bring it up. Yeah, bring it up.
We'll talk potent masculinity here. I hope that kind of catches on. I don't know if people truly understand what potent masculinity is all about.
Well, just masculinity in itself has been suppressed by society for how long now?
Yeah, well, they keep calling it toxic masculinity, and it's like, okay,
There's a difference.
there is such thing as toxic masculinity, okay? Just like there is toxic femininity in the world. But instead of vilifying masculinity in general, why don't we look for an antidote, if you would, to toxic masculinity? So what's the holdup with all these toxically masculine men? They're scared of their emotions. Mm-hmm. They're scared of themselves. So they act violently. They become full of rage. And so they fall back on kind of these animalistic laurels, if you would. So again, people were struggling with this, and I thought through my own process, and I came up with these 10 steps to potent masculinity. Okay, we're going to combat toxic masculinity, not by getting rid of it, but by changing it into something positive to affect the community. Okay, and number one, curtail your emotional states. So that's what we were just talking about. Mm-hmm. Breathing techniques, meditation techniques. If you're angry, go get a lift. If you're anxious, go for a run. If you're sad, do some push-ups, right? Curtail the emotional state. And then number two, you got to be able to properly identify the emotion, okay? So once you've survived the initial reaction to whatever's going on, I'm angry, okay? Now I have to identify the emotion. Anger is a secondary emotion. So what was my primary emotion that led me to become angry? 9 times out of 10 for guys like us, it's going to be a combination of shame and guilt.
Yeah.
Okay? Self-imposed, sometimes not self-imposed. Sometimes you've got a life partner who's making you feel shameful or making you feel guilty. Okay?
Yeah,
that's real shit. But you got to be able to identify the emotion. So I'm not feeling angry, I'm feeling shameful, I'm feeling sad. Okay? Now, what proactively identify triggers? What led me to become angry? What was it? Okay, did somebody say something to me at the checkout line? All right, what was the trigger? Okay, once I identify what the trigger was, the next step is to just decrease my overall stress. All right, and you do that by falling back on the basics. Clean your house, get a little exercise in, Clean up your eating habits. Set up a sleep routine where you're getting at least 7 or 8 hours of quality sleep every night. And I don't want excuses that, like, oh, I can't get sleep, all that shit. You have to work at this. Each one of these
all
is
those
a step.
factors are, all those things are factors in good sleep, eating healthy, hydrating,
Absolutely.
not doing certain vices anyways, but yeah, keep going.
So you decrease stress, then you move to step 5, and this is where we start doing the intrinsic work, okay? You're gonna identify your values, all right? So we've survived this explosively emotional moment. I figured out what triggered me to be that emotion, all right? I've decreased my stress level. Now I'm level-headed, and I wanna identify what my values in life are, okay? Am I feeling extra anxious because I'm climbing the wrong ladder, right? Maybe I've been brought up to believe that money was the kind of epitome of success, but my values would dictate that having my son love me is what I find to be the true definition of success. So I'm fighting the wrong fight, okay? So identify my values, and it's important you write these down, okay? Write down your values. Once you've established your list of values, you're going to articulate it into what warriors call an ethos, okay? And if you want a really good example of what an ethos is, in what was that SEAL movie? I forget the movie, but
Modern or
it
what?
was it was during the whole anti-terrorism thing, post 9/11. But anyways, they're talking about what an ethos is, and Tecumseh writes an ethos, and this guy who becomes a Navy SEAL has this particular ethos. I actually wrote it in my deployment journal. But you have to, and your ethos is essentially like, I'm going to articulate what I find to be most valuable in my existence, okay? Once you've written your ethos, we move to step 7, which is accepting this idea of self-love. And I could talk about self-love forever because it's been like most things in society, perverted into this ultimate self-acceptance ideology. And that's not what I'm talking about. In fact, the purest definition of self-love is discipline.
Self-care.
I am disciplined enough to eat the right food. I am disciplined enough to put down my vices. That is self-love,
Right.
okay? So when I say self-love is step 7, I really mean discipline is step 7. But we start working into being actionable and disciplined with steps 8 and 9, because step 8 is to organize what actions I want to take. Step 9, I finally take the action. Step 10, I'm looking for wisdom from the new experience. And then it's just it's a circle, man. It goes back. And when we find these emotional states, that's where I tell people to start. You got to slow down the emotion, figure out what caused it, decrease stress, identify your values, write your ethos, and then you'll find some sort of traction so you can organize actions, begin to take action, and then do some retrospective work, constantly looking for wisdom. That's what we call potent masculinity, guys. That's what I've come up with in 20 years of, like I said, hardships and success. And maybe one of these days we'll talk about my origin story. I don't want to get anybody arrested, so we won't disclose too much.
We do have to, and we are. Right? Eventually, we will talk about some more in-depth fucking shit. But
yeah, we could post that, I guess, or put a link or something to where.
what the 10?
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna. Yeah, I'll post it.
Cool.
I'll put that in the link and in the details, the description, and all that. But yeah, I wanted to segment a little bit off of what has really stuck out and essentially the first time I guess I met you in kind of like a professional level was seeing or watching you speak at an event, the first event that I went to. I won't say the name, but
nonprofit organization for veterans. Yeah.
But you talked about the modern day warrior. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that has stuck with me. So we'll do another in-depth talk about that too some other time. But that's the modern day warrior. It's a different fight. It's
Oh yeah. No,
Today's world, it's a different fight, but it goes hand in hand with what we're talking about the 10 steps to, masculinity is that's the fight we're fighting right now. And also in other realms of society right now, politics, even religion now, that's making some waves right now. And the elections coming around the corner, like there's all kind of relationships with the whole toxic masculinity bullshit, toxic femininity. That's the war we're fighting.
Yeah, I mean it's a war of values. It's a war of virtue. It's funny. So I've read quite a bit of Friedrich Nietzsche the last month or so, and he makes this really great assertion that our level of understanding of morality is limited by our ability to communicate.
Yeah.
Because we have such a juvenile understanding of root words and the philology and the philology behind the word, we have come up with this oversimplified definition of morality, which then leads to an oversimplified definition of ethical behavior. And you're seeing the consequences of oversimplifying very, very complex conversations in what we see today with even just like this whole non-binary option. Like, I don't want to be a feminist, I don't want to be toxically masculine, so I will be nothing and all things at once. And it for me, it's about as asinine as this idea of anarchy, where it's like we all believe in it being completely independent so long as we are together. It's like, all right, you guys are full-blown contradicting everything you stand for.
That's why I'm laughing, because that's exactly what I knew you were going with it. Because it's...
I don't get it.
I can't even watch or hear the whole meanings, because I'm like, I get so fucking confused.
They're confused.
That's why I'm like, what?
No, and I don't even understand this. Why are we overcomplicating? Why? I'd really like for somebody to be able to answer that. I don't think anybody can. Like, we're gonna look back on this 40 years from now and be like, what the fuck were we talking about? Where did this come from? You know?
So, if you're watching this or listening to this and you have something to say about that, that'd be interesting to...
Yo, bring out the non-binary.
Let's go,
man. Come on, let's talk about it. Seriously. We'll have a deep conversation about the emotionality behind being non-binary. I will welcome that. And I'll keep my mouth shut. I just want to learn. What is it? Because you guys confuse the shit out of me, man. I don't get it.
I don't know if I'll keep my mouth shut, but...
Well, probably not.
There has... Because what we talked about earlier, or not in this one, but the different episode where we have to be able to ask those questions to ultimately clarify some shit.
Yeah, so I guess let's fix that. This is not a safe space, okay? If you come onto the show, you better be ready to fucking stand up for what you believe in, and do it in somewhat of an articulate fashion.
Maturity, and have, like what I said, a realistic conversation.
Yeah.
Where you're not repeating the same shit, but actually delving deep into the thought of what you're trying to communicate.
Right. And that goes for anything we talk about.
That goes for us too.
Yeah. I mean, I try and steer away from politics sometimes because I know, like, I could be better at studying politics, I suppose, in general. And then I fall back on this idea, like, well, what does it matter? Because most of the shit they're talking about they're willing to do, they're not going to do.
Right.
You know? So
it's the same shit you've heard for years.
Yeah. Well, a candidate's policy anymore is literally just a well-curated way to buy votes. It's just it. It's like, okay,
entertainment.
Let's push out a survey. Let's figure out what our constituents, our donor base and our constituents want to hear, and then we'll feed that narrative until we get into office. And how often does it? I think Donald Trump's the last guy I remember ever actually doing something he said he was going to do. I don't remember Joe Biden doing hardly fucking anything. And I can't imagine that Kamala Harris is going to do anything positive for the country whatsoever.
No. And so, and on that too, because I think you have the same views as I would, is I don't give a shit that, like, if you're a female or not, it's the fucking values that one person has. Because there's plenty of females that are out there in politics that I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I agree
again,
with-
we're talking about politicians though, right? So it's not even like, unfortunately, she's a puppet. You know what I mean?
That's what
She's not even the most qualified puppet. I don't even know why they chose her. She's not a great mouthpiece. She's not a great orator. She's not highly intellectual. She's not well connected. She doesn't come from family money. Like, what is it? What boxes does this woman actually check? And I think the Democratic Party is asking the same thing. Like, why Kamala Harris? It makes no sense to me. So you got somebody like Gretchen Whitmer, who I absolutely despise, by the way, but the governor of Michigan, who's not an unattractive woman, who's been successful in politics. Why wasn't she nominated to take this spot? Was it really because Kamala's skin tone is darker than Gretchen Whitmer? Because I'll tell you, she's not more qualified than Gretchen to run the country.
keep going.
I got nothing else to say on that. They're going to send the FBI to me.
How's it going home?
Man, what the fuck?
Alright. You look angry like that. You look cool? You look cool like that.